Just for a second.
Okay.
And we are live. I'm here with my new friend, Elias. How do you say it? Elias? Elias?
Yes, they are both correct. If I'm gonna add a third one, the more Spanish variant, if you know, se habla español, Elias as well. That's a third variant. But
Elias.
yeah,
What do most people call you?
Elias.
Elias. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that connected with Elijah or any of the prophets?
Oh, you know that. Yes,
Okay.
you know that.
All
We have a
right.
very bold, very actually, it's actually one of my favorite stories. It's not because of the name, even though you could debate that. Um, you could debate that because of the name, but no, he did a lot of great things, and
Yeah.
then he set the pathway for the next generation through Elisha, which he
Yeah.
did double as much, you know. So I said, that in a way that kind of sounds like me. I would want the next generation to do better than me, so that me being the peak, that's just selfish, and then that shows decline as well. So no, in a way, but of course it's not as mystical and all of that good stuff. Him killing a couple of soldiers, which I find that personally cool. That's all, man. I wish I want that power, but he's not going to grant me that. He's more loving than that. It's more Old Testament version. That's yeah, smite the enemy, just like that.
Well, we need some of these enemies smoked today. So maybe you're gonna get the tap on the shoulder. But before we get into that, I just want to hear your story. On my podcast, that's what I do. I ask the person, the guest, to go right back to early childhood, describe the home life in terms of faith, philosophy, and some of the bumps
Mhm.
along the road, all the way up until today. What's the journey for you?
Oh, that's a very interesting journey, and I'm gonna have to start with my parents. My mom, Catholic, and that's the direction I was going because my mom won the influence argument. My father, well, he's not that religious, but he did came from an evangelical family. So two different denominations, but he wasn't as strong in his practice as my mom was. And it was kind of set up a low bar, but I guess my mom won the argument, so I went through the Catholic path. Me, I already had my problems, and it has a very rocky start. I didn't like the Catholic school system, and I wasn't into Catholic school, but just more getting ready for baptism and communion and all that. I didn't really like it. I was a sneaky rebel in a sense because I would act really, really good, and then when the opportunity looks attractive, I would I would find shady ways to disobey. But at the time, I thought I was better. When you're young, you kind of get arrogant and stupid. I thought, oh God, even if he sees what I'm doing, I'll be okay. I'll be okay. There'll be no consequences. Eventually, of course, that turned out to be false. Because I got caught with hanging out with the clowns, the wrong crowd, when I was going through my confirmation. I mean, I'm breezing through this real quick. Unless you want to ask follow up questions, and I'll be happy to dive deep. I just go by the interest of what I'm assuming is your audience and you.
Highlights. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's good. Yep. And then after that, I mean, one time, I almost left the whole confirmation mass right in the middle of it because I was leading one group out to the church. I said, "Say one more stupid," and I kind of slipped the curse word, the one that rhymes with poop. I'm just willing to leave because I was kind of a sneaky rebel, like I said, and I almost had opportunity, but then for some odd reason, that little voice had to prevent me just in time to obey and go through the process. I mean, we humans, we flesh. I was double-minded, even triple-minded. I wanted to be an atheist at one point, which I'm going to get to that a little later. That's me going to the darker path despite completing my sacraments. I said, oh yeah, I may be Catholic to you, world, but I don't feel it. And I dealt with a lot of hypocrites in the past as well. Oh, so much of them. So much of them in the subway, even in churches. I heard so much gossip. I said, okay, so what's the point of learning the Bible? Everyone's acting everyone's acting just like a heathen. So I didn't see the point. And I saw so much hypocrisy even in the church. I said, you know what? I'm going to frankly say it, to hell with the Bible. And that strayed me more to the atheism. Now I put it on air quotes. I was more pissed off at God, especially when he let my father die for cancer. If you're so powerful and so great, how come you didn't save my father? How come? So 15, 16, 17, I was putting that atheistic facade pretty well. A lot of people was convinced I'm an atheist, and that's exactly what I want. That's it. Good. I said, look, and I have even insulted God a couple times. It's just like those fairy tale books. It's non-existent. If he was so great, he would have saved my father. He would have smite all those hypocrites. I would have seen signs and miracles already. So where are they? I don't know. They're non-existent. Okay. And oof, I gotta say, I'm happy that I don't go on that path because oof, I was miserable. I was quite a miserable teenager. It almost drove me to the path of suicide. And I set up the perfect suicide, by the way. It was perfect because no one had a sign. Nobody had a sign. And I talked about this in my podcast a bit. So for those of you, for somehow you found this podcast and with Politically High Tech, this is the extended version, okay? Because I only talked about the suicide part. I set it up so well, no one suspected I was doing it. I was going to commit suicide, and I almost succeeded. I was only one step off. One step off. I was right at the roof of a 15-story building. I had it set up, and I just acted regular miserable. Just think, oh, okay, Elias just miserable. He'll be okay. I said, good. I ran, then I stopped. I heard the voice. I said, there's just no point. This is worthless. Everything is worthless. There's no meaning. Okay, everything. That's how dark I felt. There was just no meaning to all of this. God, why are you saving me? I have bashed you. I have even mocked you for 2 years straight. Why? I don't blame you for disowning like a worthless crap that I am. That's what led to worthlessness without sense of purpose. Why? Why save me? You must be crazy. It turns out I was the crazy one because I didn't understand God. I didn't understand him. And what got me back to believing in, well, really practicing God more often was a woman who sounded a bit rough, Joyce Meyer.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yep. And the way she preached about it, it sounded so relatable. I said, oh, this is what the church didn't teach me. This is what I wasn't taught. And at the same time, I wasn't even that interested. So if you would have taught me the Bible, even I had a great opportunity when I was my childhood to early teenagerhood, I wouldn't care. Unless you're talking about video games, science, and things I could see, I was more interested in that. Deep down inside, I had a belief of God. I just at times I don't want to admit it. I felt a bit ashamed, even stupid at times, because I'm the type that I like documents, I like proof, that legalistic, evidence-based thinking, that carnal thinking, in other words. I was dominated by that. So that's what I mean. And I got easily influenced by the hypocrites and people who were straying away from the Lord. I'm sure a lot of people could relate. So I was never really an atheist. I just had my issues. Fast forward to today, it's been slow and steady ever since the age of 18. I said, you know what? I'm going to get back on track. But this time I had a fresh new start. He gave me a second chance. I will not squander it. People didn't know I was going to commit suicide. My family didn't know. Lord knows. He knows it all. You can't hide it. No matter how much you tried. Of course, at times, I was like, that's okay. He'll forgive me, but keep taking advantage of that. You reap what you sow, and there's a place that's not so nice, and I want to make sure I don't go there. It's called hell, and I don't want to deal with that. So that would convince me. She fill in a lot of gaps on why God doesn't answer the prayer. I said, okay, maybe my father wasn't as close, maybe wasn't meant to be. You know, it let's just say I don't understand everything. I mean, no one does. But let's just say I have a much better understanding than I did years ago. So that's where I'm at. And then now for the denomination, well, I'm going to get to the whole not be committed to denomination. To me, I find it silly. I think it's just a division. I think it's a double smart tactic. I don't spit of a spicy statement. It's okay, you don't believe Virgin Mary. Okay, you don't believe in this. Oh, we sing it. But I think a lot of it, in my opinion, should be acceptable. I know that could probably be debated. I don't mind hearing it. I'm not going to pretend to be a theologian expert. I am not, in any case. But so far, I'm liking this Methodist church because they sing and praise. They connect things to history. It's very communal and social, and I do need to improve my social life. Got more about work, making money, than anything else. So far, that's helping me. Not that I want to disown the Catholic system, but I do have my problems with the Catholic system in New York State. Let me just make it very specific, not against the entire Catholic system in the world, the New York State, because I find them very feckless. They cave into the government, and that really turned. I was disgusted. I wasn't impressed, and I even got to argue with a couple of congregates that they try to act like the bosses and everything like that. And I'm not going to get into that stuff. I just know that ever since the very beginning this year, I've been attending to the Methodist Church more often. The one thing I made a promise for sure that I'm not disowning God. I may change the way I praise what churches, what have you, but I want to stick close to God as much as possible, and actually me connecting it to the Lord. I know the Lord's always with us. We just choose to turn off our receptors and just, enjoy our fleshly pleasures, what have you. I'm about to call out your no, your interesting looking view right there. But no, I'm kidding. Who am I to judge? I used to be an alcoholic, so I used to be an alcoholic for a couple of years because I didn't know how to deal with stress very well, and I decided to be aloof when I get stressed out. So yeah, drinking's not good, people. If you ever figure that out, even in moderation, I just cut it off completely. And I think I'm not going to get invitation back to certain podcasts that just allow you to drink.
Oh yeah,
yeah. There's one that's So maybe I'll do a sip, maybe. But as of now, I've been sober for the past. I was about to go on my third year. Yeah, completely. Yeah,
cool.
I mean, yeah.
I want to ask a couple more biographical questions, if it's okay.
Sure.
Well, if it's not too personal, you'll tell me if you want to answer or not. But it's about well, how old are you? How many siblings do you have? What's your ethnic background? That kind of biographical stuff. Whatever you're comfortable sharing.
Oh, well, the age part I am not so comfortable sharing yet, but in terms of everything else, I can answer. What are the other two questions?
Do you have any siblings, and what ethnicity are your parents?
Ooh, the siblings. That one's gonna sound like I'm making it up. I have 15 siblings.
Are you serious?
Yep.
Wow. You're the which one are you?
I'm the last one. I'm
baby.
16. Yeah.
You're the baby.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I'm the baby.
The ultimate.
Oh, you know
baby.
what? Yeah. This baby. Well, actually, no. I'm going to reveal the age. I'm going to reveal it. I'm to the point that I don't really care. I am 34. Since you asked it politely, I'm going to find a cape, and I don't like giving. I don't want to give that information very easily, but I'm going to do it. I'll make an exception.
That's a good age. That's almost the perfect age. 33 is the perfect age, and so you're just 1 year off from the perfect age. Because Christ lived 33 years.
Age. That's what I get.
Well, no, because Christ lived 33 years. I'm 53, if you want to know. 53.
You look a lot younger than that. I would have thought 35.
Oh yeah. Oh okay. Yeah. What about the ethnicity? Do you talk about that?
Oh,
You,
ethnicity. I
yeah.
have said that multiple times. I don't have a clear picture of it, but I know the dominant one is Puerto Rican, so that's why the
Ah,
Catholic thing is right there. Yeah, both
ah.
sides of the
Both
family.
sides. Both sides.
Hmm.
Puerto Rican,
Yep.
both sides.
Yep. Both
Wow.
equal. Yep.
Have you been there?
I visit there. I always felt culturally inept until I visit the island. Not so long ago. It was July of last year. I actually loved it. I feel like I was getting more connection to my roots because I've never been there. It's my first time going there, and I did. I was there at the age of 33, so that was my perfect age to be in in Puerto Rico. So it was no, it was a great trip. I was shocked about I know the Campo stuff. That's like the little towns that have got much electricity and all that. You could think of it like the redneck areas is equivalent to that. Of course, Spanish speaking people, village, all of that. That's the only difference. Yeah, I went there. Yeah, it was a beautiful. The city San Juan is the most modern,
No way.
most progressive out of all of them. That's the biggest as a capital as well.
Oh.
So much history in there, and I learned that Puerto Rico was actually very involved in World War II. When I was reading, I'm a historian, so I was interested to see what was going on with that. It was used as a strategic base just to ward off, just in case the Japanese want to come with a sneak attack. I mean, yeah, it was interesting that it's not talked about in most American textbooks, which I call out the education system for that. We talk about not representing, and all of that. This is when I attacked the left. I said, left. I think sometimes your attacks are off. You're attacking this person, but yeah, attack the mainstream textbook publishers that filter out these information just for simplicity's sake. Yep. No. PR was pretty involved in World War II, so I learned that. And I want to go back to San Juan. Yeah, San Juan is the most internet. It's the tourist hub. Obviously, beautiful buildings, speak multiple languages. Of course, Spanish number one, English is strong number two. A lot of them are very bilingual, so even you speak to them in English, most of them will understand you and they will respond to you because it was part of the curriculum.
I,
So that's yeah. Go
I
ahead.
find the Puerto Rican people are unique. They're animated, they're friendly, they're colorful in the personality. Uh, is it because it's a small island? Is that what gives the there's a certain kind of joy, but there's some a little bit of edge and sarcasm. Like it's spicy, you know. So it's nice. What do you think? Am I right?
Generally speaking, you're right. Me, I'm the black sheep. I'm the opposite of
Uh,
that. I'm more
uh,
cold, distant. I'm
I
like the black sheep. Yes, I can easily shatter that stereotype. I'm not. I'm more reserved. Now, I won't talk to her. I won't act like a complete stuck up. But I'm not the type I'll just open up right here. I think the podcast has helped me done that. Talk to more people more often. I'm more about just work, get home, get things done. That's it. That's the kind of person I am. So sadly, I adopt more of the New York esque
ah,
attitude.
okay, okay, okay. Well, I'm in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. That's not too far, and
No,
we have the
no.
similar kind of big urban vibe up here, and we got crime and stuff. Not like you, but and we have rats too, but not like you. But
Oh yeah, no, no, yeah. I mean, no. I would have been offended, but sadly, when once it's the truth, I just suck it up. Yeah, more rats and crime. Yeah, and
Eh.
I mean, we are the peak of it of the crime wave is going down a bit, but they still got ways to go.
Bring back
Man,
Rudy Giuliani, man. Bring back Giuliani. He'll help you out.
well, he ain't coming back. And he is, all I can say, he is, I don't want to say that word. Yeah, he is financially, I think, destroyed, if I'm going to
Oh,
say it.
really? Oh. What about the love life? Are you called to the state of marriage? Is that your thing? Like you're gonna get meet the one and have babies? Is that in the cards or no?
Oh, that's the thing I've been very undecided with that. I've just been oh, all these people are just so crazy to me, and I got my own issues, and there's just things I'm not willing to give up,
Compromise. Yeah.
compromise. Yeah. I mean, I've dated a couple of women. It didn't work out. We were both just very very headstrong, and not that I would protect her loyally, but it came to like verbal spats. It was just she wanted me to be available 24/7. I said it can. I need to make money. Hello. You women got more the luxury to work if you want. Well, actually, no, you can't because the inflation is so darn high that the woman has to work as well. That's all it works, so you don't have to deal with that. We'll be separated, and it didn't work out. And she was a hypocrite, and because when she got too busy, she didn't have time for me. I said, "Excuse me, I made time for you while I was a full-time college student, full-time work, and I still managed to make time, compromising my sleep for years." There's a piece of say, you know what? To hell with it. I was done. I said no. If I know if I'm putting 200% and I'm not getting anything in return, I'm done. It doesn't matter what you say and all that because I go by the actions. I go by the kids will call it receipts. I go by the track record or the history for the more established generations. I don't want to say older, established generations. That's my way of avoiding the old word.
So God didn't intervene when you dumped the woman, right? He didn't say, "Stop, my son. You're making a big mistake."
No, no, he didn't.
Okay.
I
Okay.
I think I would have caught that. Maybe sometimes a little too late, but no, I didn't feel that. Yeah, so far there's been not the one, and there was times I actually felt ashamed of it because there's a lot more my age. They're doing well in the marriage and relationship area, and then there's those that are doing even worse.
Oh, of course, of course, of course. Yeah,
I
don't
mean,
compare.
yeah, it's just oh well, easier said than done. But yeah, I'm working on that too because it's true. Comparison is just it's such a great thief. It's so deceptive, and yeah, I mean, me and many others keep comparing. Yeah, it's just yeah. So I'm sure God has a purpose on that. Even though I don't know what the heck it is. That's why it's a mystery, right?
Yeah. So, without going into too much detail, the many siblings that you have, are you close? Are any of them following Jesus? Are they Christian? What do you know roughly what the story is?
Oh well, I could summarize it. I think I'm the most biggest follower, not just a brag of anything of Christ more than any of them. Some of them are casual Christians. What I mean by casual, they follow when it's easy, or convenient Christians, if I want to use a more exact term. And then they're just those that just said, "God ain't helping me out. To heck with him. I'm just gonna do me." So that's what those. So those are the camps that they fall
Uh,
on.
uh, yeah. Yeah. Is New York City, is it very, very anti-God? Is it atheistic? Like Montreal is very atheistic.
Oh, especially the Big Apple, the tourist spot. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they're. I mean, they're replacing it with. I'm sure you won't be surprised. The LGBTQ
Uh,
stuff. That's the
that's a new religion.
yeah, and I'm against that.
Of
Some people
course.
call me a far right bigoted because of that. Even though my politics is right at the center, but when it
Yeah.
comes to the woke and LGBTQ stuff, yeah, I'm with the right, and sometimes I even attack the right about how they handle it as well
Yeah.
because some are very very dramatic. And I mean, I could speak of politics for hours about how. I mean, this is why I left the Democrat Party. I started as a very moderate blue dog Democrat, where that's the center left for the more Canadian audience. I was the type of Democrat. I agree with Republicans on certain things like fiscal responsibility. I said, we need that, but look what's going on without that. People want to play the victim, and me, even though I'm overweight, I could blame God or this host or anybody for this abundant weight. But at the end of the day, it's on me, and that's why I bring it up as a personal responsibility. I mean, me, I'm doing better. I'm drinking more water. Oh, Lord's blessing this water, amen. And kill all the tap filth in here. And what else? A financial responsibility. You can't just spend money like a drunken sailor all the time. And this is what the government And a good amount of people, so they spend credit cards on Gucci and all these expensive stuff that you don't need. You could spend probably a penny, something much cheaper that could suit their needs instead of, oh no, I got to get this Gucci and all that, just for status. Look at that, I'm richer than you, I'm better than you, you filthy peasant. Yeah, it's utterly ridiculous. Priorities are so messed up, so messed up. I mean, the mayor plays freaking Rihanna for intro music. I said, what is this? What is this? I'm not making this up. I mean, you could find a couple of videos. It went viral. Is it? Yeah, you're so concerned by looking like a pseudo celebrity that goodness. I don't want to get deep into it unless you insist, and I'll be happy. I
Twist
might
your
swear.
rubber arm. Twist your rubber arm. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I do want to ask you about the Old Testament, the politics in the Old Testament, and there's nothing new under the sun. So we see the corruption today. We see the power politics. We see the lies, the manipulation, and the abuse of power. So I just want you to draw a rough picture about not necessarily the end times, like the very end times, but like it's kind of the end times, you know. So I'm just wondering if you see biblical ideas manifesting, like the Middle East is heating up in Palestine, Israel, whatever. You see all kinds of war, you see injustice, you see Satan coming out with all this pornography and all this abortion and everything like that. So how when you compare that with Old Testament, all the drama of the Old Testament, how do you see us faring today compared to back then?
Oh, we are definitely headed in the wrong direction, and I strongly believe we're at the beginning of an end. I do believe that because, just like you said, the devil's popping them more blatantly in your face. Look at the music videos. Look at Doja Cat, Lil Nas X mocking Jesus. You do that with Allah, they will
Mm.
threaten you and all that. I don't think we should. What we should do is just call them out and force them to attend a mass or something, so that you can know what you're insulting. You foolish moron. I'm trying not to curse. I do swear. You want to hear the more uncensored version of me, you check my podcast, Politically High Tech. You go shameless plug-in. I have said my raw, uncensored version on a lot of these things. So I'm not going to here because I just came from a very, very great mass, a very fruitful mass. I'm trying to maintain grace, and especially verbal grace. Action grace, I think I'm pretty good at that, but verbal grace, I've been not so well. I think one disciple kind of at that probably was a Peter, I guess. He was kind of a swearer. Um, I mean, he was aggressive too. I mean, he almost killed the slave when he chopped his ear off. Yeah, even at times, I think very rarely I've went to that point. But let me get back to what I was saying. Yeah, I think we had a beginning of an end. Rejection of the Lord has never been more blatant than before. And if we don't get our act together, I think, just like if we disown God, God disown us. It's just that simple. We don't need you, God. I was okay. He wants to help because you know that we're a bunch of crazy organs, okay, that he created, but it's free will, and a lot of people just choose to reject it because, according to the woke people, the modern age people, God is a transphobic, and some of them even say he's trans. No, and this is what's going on. Look at TikTok. You could find, well, I don't say trillions, but probably millions of examples. Just keep going through the algorithm, watch the woke stuff, and before you know it, 1 minute passes, 10 minute passes, an hour passes. It feels like 10 minutes. Keep watch all this stuff that identifies a whole bunch of weird. I mean, we lose a sense of who we are. They say follow the science, right? Follow the science, but yet when it comes to identity, no, it can be as mystical or as crazy as you want. I can identify as a flying pig. My pronouns is mud and pink. Listen, I really don't care who I'm offending here. I care more about God's truth than people's feelings. I think I've always been like that for the most part when I was young. This is who I am. I give you a nice warning. If you don't like, you can walk away. I just dust my feet, go somewhere else. Okay. But if you want to have a dialogue, I'm open to have a dialogue. What I will not do is bend over backwards for anyone. Not just a trans, not just the trans LGBTQ plus community, but anyone who wants to just do bad. And sadly, the vast majority are not even trans people. They're just very evil people who has manipulated, brainwashed this population. They're more like the useful minions that are actually victims of their own sick ideology. That's the way I see it. They're more the victims of it, but things they don't realize it.
Yeah, it's all these elite white academics in the universities are pushing all this nonsense, and the poor little guy on the street that's suffering, and he chopped his willy off and everything, and he's got this hole that he's got to keep open somehow, otherwise it's going to get infected, and it's so horrible. But yeah, tragic,
Yeah,
tragic.
no, it is tragic. I mean, before I used to have a throbbing in front of him, but that's even wrong as well. It's just my goodness. I mean, some of them are waking up.
Yeah,
They regret their decision. I mean, there's good. So there is hope.
yeah,
There is some hope. Physically, you ain't gonna be restored all the way because you did so much damage. Especially put it on children. That's really drove me all. That's what really actually got me ticked off. When it came to the adults, I said, "Well, you know better, but if you're gonna do that, I can't. I really can't feel sorry for you. You should know better." But okay, no, I will not support it. But I won't stop you either
yeah,
because
yeah.
it's the free will at the end of the day.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
If you want to cut me off, that's fine. Now, not you in particular, but if you want to
Goodbye.
cut me off,
Click. No,
yeah, right. There you go. End of
you
interview.
offended me. I'm a trans.
Yeah.
I'm a trans. In case you didn't notice. You see the man bun here. Anyway, what about Justin Trudeau? I want to hear a little mini rant about Justin Trudeau.
Oh, well, you asked the right guy. I mean, especially if you pay attention to one of my somewhat recent episodes with, I'm forgetting the number now. It's with Nikki Belu. You know, yeah, I kind of bashed Trudeau that how he's such a great progressive person who dare lectures others, but hey, rules for thee, but not for me. Just like it reminds me of a lot of oh yeah, Elijah, what King Ahab and Queen Jezebel, those crazy people. Yeah, that's a very good Old Testament story to point to. Societal corruption. Right there. Read it, people. You'll be surprised how much comparisons you could make. I'll say it's one of the great stories that I don't know why the churches censor it or don't even put the full version. Except for kids, I get it. They'll need to know some of the gross details. I'm for that. Kids, that's only censorship. I support minor censorship, but when it comes to adult, yeah, let it rip. Hopefully they know better. But what I was gonna say, yeah, King Ahab, all this great corruption. Justin Trudeau is a great example. I mean, how it might not. Well, this one I'm not sure if it's his fault. For correct me that he allowed a Nazi person to get saluted in the parliament
Yeah,
for Ukraine. I said,
yeah,
"Oh wow, that debunks the whole narrative that there's no Nazis and Ukraine, and that justifies the Russians' crazy invasion, even though it's dead wrong." But people has called me Russian sympathizer because I dare to say that they should not. They should have never invaded Ukraine. But if you go back in history with NATO, we did encroach their territory a couple of times, and that was enough to piss off someone who has a heart of a machine. So it filled all the criteria for him to attack. Still wrong, very wrong. He should never invade Ukraine, regardless of that. But let's get back to Trudeau. I could go all over the place here. He wore blackface a couple of times. He demands us about being diverse and caring and not be racist. I mean, by his own standards, he's a hypocrite. I could say if he wore blackface and didn't care at all. But if you're gonna preach, about diversity and all this other stuff, but yet you wore blackface, you're a hypocrite. I'm gonna say you were a Klans person who wore blackface. Of course, that person's a racist. Wrong, obviously, but it's so much hypocrisy. And every time this guy talks, I mean, if there weren't any laws and he had security, I think I would have punched him a couple of times. I can't stand on Trudeau. I'm not a big fan of Trudeau. I will never be a big fan of Trudeau. I don't hate him. I don't want him to die or anything. That's the only grace I have left as a Christian. But other than that, he's just, I don't know why Canadians keep supporting him. Vote better. Pick, I don't know, a Labor or Conservative. Pick, you got options. It's not like America, you're stuck with mostly Democrat, Republican, unless one of the major parties dies off significantly, and that happened multiple times. When the Federalist Party became irrelevant, the Whig Party became irrelevant, the Republican Party was the third party. When they had a second candidate, they won the presidency at that time. During Civil War times, we don't know correctly. Say I'm an idiot. Context matters, people. Yeah, Justin Trudeau. I don't know who's worse. Maybe the cognitive level, Biden is worse. Obviously, Justin Trudeau does God. He's cognitive. He's just deceptive, and he accuses India without facts about the assassination, and he's damaging relations with the largest democracy in the world. That idiot. And the West even joined him on that. I was like, whoa, where the kids will go, where are the receipts? Where's the evidence for what craziness he's spewing? Nope. They just cringe. The rest of the West smile like, I'm not sure that's the right thing he said. America is interesting sometimes. I call it hypocrisy. Like to act diplomatic in some situations. Sometimes we are bullish as heck. But that was a situation. Yeah, you might be right, but we still need evidence. So we did the double talk. I said, India, you might be. We might accuse you in quotes, but since you don't got evidence, I might give you the benefit of the doubt. Sometimes we do double talk, which makes us very hypocritical as well. That's why I understand why the world doesn't like America. Sometimes I say, yeah, let's have a clear, concise message, and if we're gonna lie, we gotta lie better. Because we just speak both sides of the aisle. It's like saying, I love you, but I hate you. Saying it's the same exact person. No, what do you mean by that? No, I love you, but I hate you. Yeah. Sorry, not sorry is probably a better example. Yeah, these statements that
What about the pronoun, the weird pronouns are coming out with?
Oh Lord. Oh
Did you hear
Lord.
about the demon one?
That don't surprise me. I didn't hear about it, but that don't surprise me. I have secretly predicted it's going to hit that point. Demon, they already came up with a vampire one, ghost, fairy, yeah, cat, dog, what have you, mystical creatures like a phoenix. That don't surprise me.
What's your prediction for 2024? Is Trump going to win the Republican thing? And is he going to win the presidency? Will they let him? Will they let him win?
Will they let him win? They are trying not to let him win. Even though I think some of the cases are warranted. I'm not a big Trump fan either. Yeah. Ooh, shocker! Yes, just because I bash and love doesn't mean I'm a Trump fan either. The last election, I just put essentially Mickey Mouse as a write-in. I didn't like Joe Biden or Donald Trump. Said this is the best we got, and
Mickey Mouse is deep state though. Mickey Mouse is deep state.
Oh well. I probably should have voted.
At least he's fictional. That's
he's
mostly harmless. Mostly harmless.
Then Mickey Mouse, and then who's going to be the vice president? Maybe Donald Duck. That'll be interesting. Very dysfunctional White House, but I prefer to see that as book. That's the way I see America. In terms of the whole presidential thing, he's of course going to win the GOP nomination. You have to really be buried deep in the rock not to realize or very, very dense at this point. But in terms of winning, it could be up in the air because there are some things that's really hurting Biden and there are some things that's helping Biden. The economy is not the worst. The peak of the worst inflation is kind of done. That could actually help Biden. what hurts Biden is not dealing with the immigrant issue. His poll, who cares about the poll popularity? That doesn't matter. I love what they say. Oh, he's below 30%. That doesn't matter. Trump was even lower at some point. The reason why he lost is because he couldn't handle the campaign during the pandemic, and all Joe Biden had to do was hide. And look, I've argued with right-wing friends. I think I lost something because I said that. So COVID's kind of tag team with Biden in 2020. I said, I think there's a shot that Biden's gonna win. Do I want that? No. But I'm a realist.
What about
I
Big
think
Mike? What if Big Mike runs?
Big Mike. I hate to sound like an idiot. Who's that again?
Michelle Obama.
Oh Lord.
I'm kidding. It was a joke. You're supposed to get
No,
the joke. You're supposed to get the joke.
no.
You're supposed to get the joke.
I know. Bad on me. I should have known. My intuition said, Michelle Obama, you hard-headed nimrod. I said, no. I was in my emotional Kool-Aid, moment of weakness right there. If they put the Big Mike, Trump had the Republican Party has no chance.
No chance, yeah.
None.
Yeah.
And who knows? They could probably do a write-in campaign.
Yeah.
I probably just gave an idea. I said the quiet part out loud.
Yeah, I don't buy it.
Not Biden won New Hampshire.
I don't buy it. I don't buy that Michelle is a biological male. I don't buy that at all. It's my wife is partly convinced, but I don't buy it. I think most of the people that get that conspiracy theory thrown at them, it doesn't stick, in my opinion. But maybe I'm just too nice.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was deep in my emotional Kool-Aid when you said that. I was like, oh no, I don't want to get it. Oh Lord, I think I might have nightmares tonight with that conspiracy theory. She transformed into a man out of nowhere. Freaking just chops me to pieces. You think I'm a man? Yeah, I don't want to drag this podcast to deep dark territory.
Drag.
Yeah, there you go, drag. Oh, there you go, drag.
I want to do a little change in topic, if you don't mind. It's still political.
Sure.
It's still political, but the reason I'm letting you talk a lot about politics is because I think that's one of your areas of interest, of areas of expertise, or whatever. But one of the things I ask my guests about frequently is about the colonialization of North America, including Canada, obviously. But I'm getting mixed messages from the stuff I'm reading in the history books, and I think you're a history buff too. Is that right?
Yes.
So what's your take? Like, honestly, what do you think? Because the church was kind of involved, obviously, and the state was sort of very bold with their racist and hateful moves against the native Aboriginal people here, and the church was trying to moderate that and fight for the little guy. That's the impression that I get. But what's your take, having maybe looked into it a little bit deeper?
Oh well, you asked the right person, and I had to really research this, and I think thank goodness I have such curiosity. It's more complicated than that, but of course, the invasion, all that is partially true. Let's just be very clear. I don't want to say, it was all kumbaya, and they'd make us just move to Canada, and it some parts were very bloody. I mean, there was, of course, racist policies, and one of the most famous examples is Andrew Jackson. Yep, he's the one that pushed a lot of them away during a cold winter, killing a lot of them off. But before that, there's a good side and a bad side to it. The good side was more of Plymouth, Massachusetts. They were more civilized. They tried to get along with the Native Americans, while Jamestown, Virginia was the violent, oh, who are these weirdos? Get them off. This is our land. Kill them. and some of them even ate their own because they didn't know how to grow food and crops and any of that. Yeah, so while the north side, Massachusetts, yeah, Plymouth, Massachusetts, even though I have bashed that state a couple of times because of the Salem witches. Ironically, they have their mark over there as well, but that's more of a side note and mostly irrelevant. Yeah, it's and then some of it was bought legally. You know, Indians know how to do deals. They know how to talk and communicate. They weren't always, you know, dark skinned savages with clothing that barely covers their rear end. They know how to do clothing and all of that. So we got to get that mindset out completely. They knew how to talk, and they collaborate mostly with the northern colonies. And the southern colonies is where the viciousness happened. But of course, that went in the wrong direction because, like I said, the state got more involved and greedy with territory. Manifest destiny and such as pushed the vast majority of them out. So it was mixed. It went from mixed to very bad. Just to put it just put it very simply. It went from mixed too horrendous, especially with Manifest Destiny. The Manifest Destiny was like the nail in the coffin. Okay, with American exceptionalism, move these filthy savages out of the land. Yeah, and you know it's tragic, to say the least.
Yeah.
Could we have lived harmoniously? It was possible to the northern colonies, but the southern and the states they got involved and greedy, and this is why you don't let your government be your model of what a good person is because they got their own agenda and they just want more power. Even the American government is absolutely no exception to that. And we could go through it, modern examples, historic examples, and all that good stuff. So, and America's doing, and the government's doing whatever it can just to take more rights away, slowly but surely. The Patriot Act was the best example of that. We're
Yeah.
becoming less free in plain English.
I always connect this question about the colonization of the Americas with Israel, the formation of the state in the 40s there, and then Palestine. And how, you know, I don't know what the real story is, but my hunch is it wasn't, you know, it didn't go too smoothly for the people that were there, the Palestinians that were there. I've heard different stories, different arguments for both sides, but overall, I'm against the formation of the state of Israel, the modern state. What's your take, and have you looked into the history uh, of that region?
I looked into the history of that, and being confused about it is actually perfectly normal and okay. Because even experts are just debating. Now, oh no, Israel, this history happened, this Palestine, no, it's Palestine, it's Israel's land. And I think it's just a conflict that even historians, especially outside that region, is just never going to fully get because it's so biblical. It ties to biblical conflict that spans thousands of years. One could even debate that, oh, Israel came take the land because God directed them to, and all good stuff. And the Palestinians, they got their side saying, look, we've been here much longer. And we also got claim too, the old Ishmael lineage, all that good stuff. So, yep, Ishmael. Yep, we're going to Genesis. Yep, we're going that far back, people. You know, some people debate Ishmael. Yeah, Ishmael's, you know, he formed these Palestinian people through his lineage and all that good stuff. Just putting it very, very simple. You can add a little extra details to it because, you know, for time's sake. But yeah, it's a very. But my thing is the modern state. Yeah, it was already a mess to begin with, especially with British being involved and other powers being involved, especially how they did the whole Palestine and Israel stance. It was doomed to fail, and look at the result that we have. Of course, that's easier said because probably 1940s we probably would have thought it was a decent idea. That's why sometimes when we look at historical events, you gotta understand what people were thinking back then. Not saying they're correct. You can still say they're wrong. Obviously, they are wrong, objectively speaking. However, you gotta understand where people were at that time. They want to create a two-state solution. I still support the two-state solution. That's where I'm at personally. Palestine got it right. Israel got it right. What they gotta do is redraw some lines and deep work of integrating, getting along. I think it's possible. One, the important thing is a group like Hamas must be totally eliminated. And in step two, you remove Benjamin Netanyahu because he's also an extremist as well. He already said finally openly, which I suspected, that he wants Palestine gone. I said good luck with that. Your credibility is already in shambles as a nation, especially in the UN. Add a guest on it, so that was anti-Semitic. I'm not gonna add on to that, and that's one of the more recent episodes. Smart man. I like a lot of things he said, but there's a few things I have to disagree with. I just think people are just seeing this as Israel's apartheid state, especially through the African perspective. South Africa look at Israel people as a colonizers. It might not, but it's not the same story. It's not exactly the same. In the sense, South Africa, yeah, I'm happy that they got rid of that apartheid system. And Nelson Mandela, he's the GOAT over there, the greatest of all time over there. You know, I get where they're coming from, but I think they're putting too much their own historical lens into the whole Israel thing. But they're entitled to their opinion. I don't have to agree with it. I agree to disagree with that. I get where they're coming from though, because they recently came out of the apartheid system, which was very brutal, very very racist. And yeah, you have foreigners coming in telling you what to do in your own land. They've been there much longer than them. And these weirdos who just came, dominated, telling me what to do. What the heck? And of course, Palestinians to a great extent feel the same way too. Oh, they took some of our land, and of course, some of the Middle East wants to get rid of Israel's as well, especially Iran. Iran's a big example of that, and they got their little terror groups. Um, yeah, it's a very convoluted mess, but if I'm gonna be honest, I think they both should have their state. They just got to redraw because Palestine is like two little lands separate from each other. They got to pass through Israel. They got to redraw those lines and restructure that society. I don't know how, but they need to do that work, especially to get rid of Hamas and get rid of and then actually I'm gonna say overthrow, but vote out Benjamin Netanyahu because he's not helpful to the cause as well. And there's evidence now that he partially funded Hamas with his carelessness. So he's also part of the problem. And the innocents paid the price for both sides of the aisle. But obviously the Palestinians are paying the bigger price. They're innocents. And that's a fact.
Yeah. So, you know, when it comes to the Jews, the question of the Jews, the Jewish question, whatever, I always ask my Christian guests about this, and my friend Phil is always making fun of me because I always ask. But it's about the Jews coming into the church, the Christian church, because their Messiah was rejected by a large part of the Jewish community. A lot of
Mhm.
Jews accepted their Messiah, but a lot of the Jews rejected the Messiah. So, how do you see all that biblically, and how do you see that playing out in light of Romans 11, where all of Israel is supposed to come in at the end? How do you see that?
Ah, all of them supposed to come united. I'm sure it's gonna happen at some point. It look like it ain't gonna happen right now. Like we're far off from that as we speak. That's me being cynical about it. I'm sure God has gone away, but if he tells me how, I probably might laugh at it because my brain just can't process that happening. At least not right now, or probably not even 10 years if I'm gonna be transparent and honest. But yeah, I think I want to touch I'm just a little bit of history of it. I'm sure your audience for the most part are knowledgeable of this, at least that's what I'm assuming, about how the Jews set up Jesus Christ to be killed, especially through their political shadiness, through the Pharisees. Like, so even though the Romans actually did the dirty work, but come on, it was set up by the Jewish mainstream society, aka the Pharisees. They whipped up the crowd. They let some proven crook be free over Jesus Christ. I mean, that's mind-boggling. I won't be surprised something like that will keep happening again and again. That innocents get killed because all you gotta do is just gin up a crowd, get people excited, and someone who's a revolutionary, like Barabbas, whoever his name is. He has Barabbas. I think I'm pronouncing it wrong. Feel free to attack me there if you want. I'll be fine. It just words at the end of the day. God will just put the armor of emotional immunity or whatever when I read the comments. But now let it be more focused. I'm sure we're gonna unite at one point, not just the Jews, but just everybody. But I just don't see it happening not anytime soon. Maybe right before the end days, get rid of the unfruitful versus the fruitful, separate them, and then we'll see what's gonna do with that. I mean, I don't have all the answers to that. If you want to answer, God did not communicate an answer to me. You got to read Revelations. Even when you read that, it is hard as heck to understand it. So even if you read that, it won't be enough. That's why Bible's a living book. You got to pray. You got to meditate with it. Don't just treat it like a regular book, or else you miss so much. That's my advice to people. But of course, I'm sounding like a theologian for a little bit, of a pseudo theologian, because I'm not a priest by any stretch of imagination. Go ahead.
I gotta wrap it up here, but I have a quick question about your prayer life. When you wake up in the morning, do you say prayers and then prayers at meals and then prayers at night? Do you have a schedule, or is it just freestyle? Like when you're feeling it, you just say something to God or ask a favor. Or how does it work for you?
Well, it's freestyle, but I'm definitely working towards having a more structured, structured prayer schedule. Yeah, one as soon as I get up, right before a meal, lunch, dinner, right before bed. That's my goal. But as of now, it's freestyle. Just to succinctly answer that question, I just pray. I do it once. It can be a morning or a night, but it's just random. So it's freestyle as of now. But I want to work to. But I'm
What are you
planning to.
saying? What are you communicating? Is it like asking for help? Are you praising? Are you telling
I
God you love him?
praise.
What do you do?
I praise. I do a lot more praise, but I'm also asking. I'm also meditating and asking him to help me in various areas as well. I mean, we all are not perfect, obviously. Yeah, but for the most part, I'm just praising him, even out loud sometimes. It's getting to the point I do it even out loud. I just ignore the surroundings sometimes. Yeah, and sometimes I say it right randomly, even in public. Certain people may look at me as a weirdo. That's okay. I think they're weirder because they go through the wrong path, or they're ashamed of God, which is a sin, by the way.
Yeah, if you're ashamed of me, I'll be ashamed of you, is what Jesus said, eh?
Yep. 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 And go back to early example with disown. You disown him, he disown you.
Yeah,
Simple as that.
scary stuff. So we got to wrap it up. I got to go hang with the wife. But is there any final thought that you'd like to leave the listener with? That's something positive and hopeful.
Well, Lord Jesus Christ is forgiving. Okay. I mean, he could have just disowned me the way I went before. So he's very forgiving, he's very merciful. Do your best, work at your pace. That's what I say. Work at your pace and just it's kind of like exercise. It gets tough, it gets weird, but the more you do it, the more you pray, meditate, connect with the Lord, the easier it's gonna get. So, and many priests and pastors, like I talked to a couple of them now, they said the similar thing. My faith wasn't as strong when 20, 30 years ago, but the more you do it, the better that's gonna get. We are spiritual beings. We're not just the five senses. We're not just a physical being. And that's regressive to remove the spiritual aspect. So that's the final takeaway. God does exist, whether you acknowledge it or not. Go with him. He's very, you're not going to get everything right because we're human to err is human, right? I'm kind of taking a little bit of your website's statement there. So that's all I'm gonna say about that. Just give him a shot and he will deliver you. He works according to the power and the belief that you have. I'm butchering the verse. But the more power you have, the more he's gonna work. And that's all I'm gonna say about that. Give him a shot, it's very forgiving. Trust me, if he could forgive murderers or people just at one point, He can forgive you, but just don't take his forgiveness for granted. That's a big thing. Do better. Just do better. Make a mistake, learn from it, do better. That's it.
Very good. What is last question? What is fear of the Lord for you? What is the fear of the Lord? It's the beginning of wisdom, but what is it? What is the fear of the Lord?
The fear of the Lord for me is besides going to hell for not being with him. That's my fear of the Lord. You already said beginning of wisdom. Yeah, it's just knowing that he's there. And fear of the Lord, it doesn't have to be necessarily be afraid of God. For me, is I'm afraid to be detached from the Lord. That's the way I take it. Being detached from the Lord. Is that can you be afraid of God? Of course, if he does something, a big lightning and all that other stuff. But mine is just being detached from the Lord to the point that your soul and spirit won't be saved. You'll be condemned to hell for an eternity. That's my interpretation of the fear of the Lord. I'm afraid of being detached from him.
Yeah, yeah,
That's where I'm at. I think that's the biggest thing. That's my biggest takeaway.
yeah, 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 yeah. Well said, well said. So God bless you. I'm going to be praying for you and yours, and I enroll each one of my guests in a perpetual mass. You're going to get the graces of the mass every day till the end of time, you and your family. So you could return the favor. Just send some prayers my way for me and mine. Okay.
Okay, nope, not a problem.
Appreciate that, my brother, and nice meeting you. Nice chatting with you, and we'll see each other around, maybe on Podmatch. Maybe you can come back again sometime. We can chat more about Jesus.
I am open to that. I had a great time. So I'm sure there's things I've said that just give you little snippets that you might want to, you know, probe
Yeah,
deeper or
I
so.
put a link to your podcast in the show notes too, so people want to check that out, right?
Yep. So it's politically high tech. Check through the Apple Podcasts, or it's also YouTube and Rumble as well. I'm going to expand other platforms, but that's to be decided. That's TBA,
Okay.
TBD. Not gonna bore you over with that. So,
Very good, very good. So thank you so much for taking the time, and God bless you, my friend.
yep. God bless you too.
We'll see you soon. Bye bye.